Welcome into Section 1904. My name is John Gennaro. It's not that Darren Smith won't be here today. It is that Darren Smith is not here live today because the internet in Spain was not so great. You'll hear about that from Darren in just a minute. He recorded himself with some thoughts, travel thoughts, Champions League thoughts, some Padres thoughts, thoughts on youth academies versus minor league baseball. It's great. I'm going to throw to that in just a second, and then I'm going to come back after Darren and give you some of my thoughts on the Padres, some of my thoughts on the night of NBA playoffs that we had last night, and then a little bit of a look forward. But before I throw to Darren, I posted something on the website. It also got sent to every subscriber's email box, but I've seen the numbers. Not everyone opens the emails. Not everyone's on the website. Some of you just subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, and I don't want you guys to be caught by surprise. Next week, we are going to do one free show a week, and every other show is going to be on our subscribers-only podcast feed. If you are a paid subscriber of Section 1904, there are instructions on the website to how to be subscribed to that subscribers-only feed on whatever podcast platform you currently listen to. I know I'm going to get emails from people saying, I haven't gotten a podcast new episode in a couple days. What's going on? But I'm trying to catch as many people as I can before that. So if you like the newsletter, the Front Row Seat newsletter that I'm putting out every morning, if you like the writing that I'm putting out, we're talking to other writers about joining us and putting their writing through Section 1904. Darren has promised to do some writing on Section 1904. In addition to this podcast, we may be launching additional podcasts, and you're going to miss most of it, if not almost all of it. If you are not a paid subscriber, it starts at $5 a month. You can pay annually and get a bit of a discount that way. There is a 5-day free trial. There's always going to be a 5-day free trial. That way you can try us on for an entire week of content, see if you like it, see if we're worth your $5 a month before you push forward. But next week is the week. We are finally going to be putting some of our content, most of our content, behind a paywall for the people that are supporting us, the community, the fans, the audience that has put forth their money already or will put forth their money in the future to support us. This is their show. This is their platform. This is their content. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Discord, which is starting to fill up with people and become a really fun place. Even Darren's getting involved over there. You'll hear him in a minute talk about posting some pictures from Spain, meals that he's proud of in the food channel we have on the Discord server. There's a lot there. I can all but guarantee that it's already worth $5 a month, and we're only adding to it as we go forward. But next week is the week. If you are a paid subscriber, make sure you are subscribed to the correct podcast feed, the one that is called Section 1904, subscribers only, to continue getting an episode each and every weekday. All right, let's go to Darren.
All right, John. Well, thank you very much. I guess it should be considered a little bit of a minor miracle that it's taken us however many days into this vacation for us to have our first sort of technical hiccup. So as John probably mentioned, since I'm recording this, we had a Wi-Fi issue here today. We're at an Airbnb deep in the heart of Valencia, or Valencia, if you prefer, just in case anybody's listening through these very, very thin walls in our Airbnb. And we returned home from an afternoon bike ride. I think we went about 18 miles. Had a great lunch, maybe the best meal that we've had so far in Spain. It's either the best meal that we've had thus far or the second best meal that we've had thus far. I will upload some pictures onto the Section 1904 Discord and let everybody take a peek at that. I'll put it under the food tab, which is where that should belong. We'll post a couple of pictures from today's lunch. But it was a great day, and by the time I got back here to the Airbnb, I went to log on, and the Wi-Fi was out. So we contacted our host, and the host said that there is some sort of general outage. It's not going to be available for 4 to 6 hours, and frankly, that's going to mess with our plans. So we have dinner tonight. We're hitting dinner a little bit later on. And since I totally just got just put us in a position last night to miss dinner altogether because of the Champions League match, I'm not going to miss dinner for a second time. I know it's good for me. I'm sitting and looking at my wife across the living room here. And since last night we were eating kebabs at midnight or 12:30, somewhere thereabout, because Champions League here was from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. It went to extra time, so that's another 30 minutes. So it was about 11:30, and we started scrambling around. And even by the Spanish standards, that was a little bit late for a lot of restaurants, and we weren't feeling too adventurous to go and hunt around a restaurant that would seat us and that would serve us. So we ended up at a kebab shop at about 12:15. And I might add, it was quite good. It was a really, really good kebab. And I don't even know that I knew what a kebab was until a couple of years ago when we went to Sevilla. I thought a kebab was like a shish kebab. I guess that's a type of kebab, but here on a bit of bread with some lettuce and some meat, it was quite good. But point being, we're going to make our dinner reservation tonight at 9 o'clock. So I'm not going to wait for Vodafone, which is the official internet provider here in Valencia, and I think all across Spain, to get its services back up and running. So I'm going to record this, spend a couple of minutes, apologize to everybody who's going to tune in. This is not going to be John and myself. This isn't going to be me hanging out on the patio of our Airbnb. As a matter of fact, currently on the patio of our Airbnb is our laundry. For all the great things that we say about Spain, let me tell you some of the not so great things. Number one would be we have an Airbnb, and it is as advertised with a washer, but there is no dryer. So concept being that you would wash your clothes in the washer, and then you would hang your clothes outside. But one problem, it's not a sunny day here either. So we're up against it, and it's expected to rain on Thursday in Valencia, 80% chance of showers. So it's do or die time when it comes to the laundry. So I'm actually inside. You might be able to hear some of the street noise through the microphone, not sure. But not going to be out there, not going to be bantering back and forth with John. Not a ton to talk about with the Padres. I know on the Front Row newsletter, John linked a story from our pal Dylan, letters to AJ, about whether the Yankees had the Padres signs last night. I thought it was very interesting stuff. Just goes to show you it's part of baseball as old as time, no matter what, technologically or just however it is that's being done. If you can steal signs, you're going to steal signs. You could put earpieces in, you could have secondary signs and tertiary signs. But great piece there, and not much to talk about. Padres got walloped in New York, so I don't think we need to spend this entire podcast talking about what it was that happened in the Bronx last night. And hope for a series victory a little later on today. Probably by the time that you listen to this podcast, will be well before the Padres play. So I also woke up, I saw the NBA scores, and it followed true to form from what we talked about yesterday, that the underdogs seem to be performing rather well. I saw Buddy Buckets for the Golden State Warriors. Buddy Hield had himself quite a night, and he's had himself a really, really nice postseason, so good for him. Like seeing that. Hopefully that will continue. That trend will continue in the NBA. But as said, Champions League for me was pretty much the focus. We went out last night, and we woke up from a little bit of a nap, and it was about 8:30-ish, and the match started at 9, so we were scrambling a little bit, and we figured, hey, this is Spain. Like, Spain is the best footballing country, soccer country on planet Earth. Of course we're going to be able to just roll out of the Airbnb and find ourselves a place to watch the Champions League semifinal, the second leg of the semifinal between FC Barcelona and Inter Milan. It was a little bit more of a challenge than you might think. A lot of the nice restaurants, when we go out in San Diego, a lot of even the nice restaurants in San Diego will have a bar. And the bar will oftentimes have a television. And Leah and I always like bellying up to the bar. We like chatting with the bartender. We like just the, meeting different people. We don't need a whole table. Occasionally we'll do that. But we are very fond of sitting at the bar. And a lot of these, even fancier restaurants in San Diego, have a television. Well, that's not really the case here. And it was a bit more difficult for us to find a place to watch the Champions League semifinal. I don't know that we actually found ourselves sitting there before the match actually kicked off. So I think we found one place that had a bunch of outdoor seating. You couldn't even get close to the bar, couldn't even get close to it. So we did find a place that had a bunch of outdoor seats, and we went and found ourselves a table, ordered a bottle of wine. It was called the Bear Club. I posted a picture of it on Instagram, and you could see, how crowded the place is on the inside, and even all the tables on the outside. And then just like random people would stop. They'd be walking their dogs in the middle of the night, and they would stop, and they would just sort of camp out outside of the restaurant, and they would watch a couple minutes of the Champions League, and off they'd go to the next place. And, here in Spain, I didn't really know. I didn't really know if people would be pulling for Barcelona just because it's La Liga, it's the Spanish league, and you figure you'd like a team from Spain to advance to the Champions League final. It seemed like it was a pretty good mix. It seemed like there were lots of people who were pulling for Barcelona. There was a lot of Italians, though. There were a lot of Italians around us. And when you say that, obviously, and you're here in Europe, you don't mean, of Italian heritage. You mean like they are from Italy. And there were lots of Italians, and it seemed like they had pretty good representation there. So it was a really fun environment, especially first half. Inter Milan goes up 2-0, and all the Italian fans are happy. And I wouldn't say that there were many Barcelona fans who were upset, like it wasn't that kind of thing. But then in the second half, Barca equalizes, and then they take the lead late. 87th minute, Rafinha, what a goal. I hope people can appreciate the athletic ability that went into that goal, because he shoots it with his left, and the rebound comes right back to him, and he scores it with his right. And that is just a really difficult thing. It is such a hard thing to shoot with your left. The goalkeeper for Inter Milan, who was so good and probably the difference, doesn't have time to deflect it away. He just has to make a save. And sure enough, he makes a save, and the rebound goes right back to Rafinha, who kicks it with his right foot and puts it into the right side of the goal. So, that was just an incredible moment. And then the stoppage time equalizer and extra time, and then the winner. And it's a 37-year-old center back who's been around for a million years. And, it was so disappointing. So disappointing as an FC Barcelona fan. I will say, though, more than anything, sort of a feeling that Barcelona, how do I make this sound like I'm not searching for some sort of silver lining here? We're talking about one of the biggest soccer clubs on planet Earth. But their history over the last decade in this tournament and Champions League, playing away in second legs has been absolutely atrocious. 4-0 at Anfield against Liverpool, 3-0 at Roma, 8-2 against Bayern Munich, right? I mean, it's just been really, really bad. That it is being discussed, this may be one of the great semifinals, if not the greatest semifinal in the history of the Champions League, speaks a lot about both sides. It really does. And that it was back and forth, and that the first leg was so exciting, and we were so lucky to be there. So glad that we have that attachment to the team. There's just something different when you get to see a team in person and you feel like there's an attachment to a team, to a club, to a season, whatever it might be. So we did get that opportunity a week ago today, actually, when we landed in Barcelona. This is our 1 week. 1 week down, 1 week to go. My wife is shaking her head. So we did get that opportunity at Montjuic in Barcelona, but off they went. And I will say it was really disappointing. I was really a bit heartbroken by that. I don't know that I expected them to get this far, but they did, and they're young. And I know I talk a lot about Lamine Yamal, who's 18 years old. He's not the only 17 years old, actually. Barcelona also started an 18-year-old last night. They had a 22-year-old. They have a really, really, really young squad, and certainly I think it's a new generation. It's not a generation that has the PTS from getting run over in European competition like the previous group had. So to better days, but a really fun time. It was really just a fun environment to be a part of, and that it was 9 till 11 o'clock and then 11:30 just made for us having to wander the streets of Valencia in search of some place that would feed us at that hour. So we did find it. Tonight will be a little bit more structured. We're going to go out. We're going to find ourselves at a restaurant right about the time that the second Champions League semifinal will start. This will be PSG and Arsenal tonight in France. So we'll catch that one in the second half after we're done dining tonight. But it was a lot of fun. So we're doing laundry. We have laundry that's out. It is currently on our patio. Yes, my underwear is currently on the patio chair where I have been podcasting from for the last couple of days. I mentioned we had a great lunch. We learned how to make paella yesterday. We thought about buying a paella pan while we were here in Valencia so that we can take our new talent back home. That was a ton of fun. But yeah, weather's not great. Internet out, all in all, though. And we ran out of toilet paper, so we had to go to the local market and buy some toilet paper so that we can keep ourselves fresh for the next few days as well. My wife's also dealing with some depression because she's not riding a Phrygian horse like she had been for a couple of days from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday that she went riding and just had an amazing time, an incredible experience. Even just getting a chance to watch and check all that out was phenomenal. Oh, and by the way, John, I do have an answer for what you said yesterday when we were talking about minor league baseball and should minor league baseball go to the way of the academy. And I'm going to just say no, without having done a ton of noodling, to use your word. I'm going to just say no on that for this reason and this reason alone. I suppose from a club standpoint, this might come across as a more economically efficient way of producing Major League Baseball talent. However, what I will say is, not everything has to be about the bottom line. There is a certain charm to minor league baseball that I really, really do appreciate, even though I've only been to, a couple dozen minor league baseball games in my life, most of them at Lake Elsinore. But I do think that is part of the fabric of the sport of baseball. They don't make movies about academies. They make movies about minor league baseball. And, I think there's something to be said for that. And I would like that charm to continue. Again, I'm sure the clubs are figuring out a way that they can be a little bit more cost effective. But, at some point, maybe we don't always have to think about what's in the absolute best interest of the bottom line in professional sports. Maybe every once in a while we can think, this has been around for a really, really long time. And it's been the lifeblood of a lot of cities that will never have Major League Baseball in their towns at all. So I'm going to just vote for keeping it the way it is. How about that? Again, unless I know these clubs are struggling. A lot of these teams and a lot of these cities are scuffling a little bit. But, I don't know that we always have to just do what's in the best interest of making pro sports as profitable as possible if there's a way to keep the tradition of minor league baseball afloat. All right, from Spain, home of the 2030 World Cup. I did see that J.D. Vance made a little bit of news. Imagine being invited to a party and told if you don't leave by 11 o'clock, somebody's going to call the cops on you. I mean, yes. Yes, you can feel the warmth from the United States inviting the world in for the World Cup in 2026. Apologies again for the technical disruption, but checking in from Valencia and hopefully back up and running tomorrow on what should be a rainy day here in Spain. But we will get through it. John, back to you.
Okay, we're back. I also watched at least the second half and extra time, they don't call it overtime, in that Champions League match. I have no great stories to tell. I was watching on a TV in my house while I ate lunch, but it was still a fantastic game. That's all I have to add. You don't need my soccer analysis. Darren skipped over the Padres really quick, and that's fine. That's the right thing to do. He also highlighted Dylan from Letters to AJ, pointing out that he thinks that Wandy Peralta may have been giving away which pitch was coming, and that Cody Bellinger may have been telling the batter in the batter's box what pitch was coming. I think that's all very interesting, but as Dylan pointed out, the Padres were already losing that game. So what happened? The bullpen was near perfect. They were the best bullpen by a mile in baseball before yesterday. I think the second lowest bullpen ERA was like in the 2s, and the Padres one was like 1.3. Like, that's not even close. So they were due for some regression. And, Michael King battled. He did not have his best stuff, even though it wasn't raining. It didn't look like the greatest environment to play baseball in, as far as, it was kind of cloudy and maybe there was some mist at times. Adrian Morejon had nothing. He had nothing. He threw 11 pitches. 3 of them were hit. 4 of them, I guess, turned into a walk because he walked someone. He gave up 4 runs, 4 earned runs. Wandy Peralta came in. I felt that was a little bit of a white flag. Wandy is very hit or miss. You can't really count on him to come through in a tight spot like that at this point in his career. And he was a miss for whatever reason. He gave up 6 earned runs, walked 2, gave up 4 hits, and that's the ball game. That's 10 runs in 1 inning in the 7th inning. And the Padres lose to the Yankees. That's fine. You know what I've taken away from this series, as someone who does not watch a lot of the New York Yankees? The Yankees are good. That's a good baseball team with a lot of good baseball players on it. Now, some of them, like Devin Williams, didn't pitch. He's got an ERA over 10. There's something wrong with him. But almost every guy who comes in, gets in the batter's box, or is on the mound for them, I'm like, oh, they have that guy? So the Yankees are good. The Padres were probably never going to sweep them. And the bullpen was overdue for some sort of blow up. And that's what happened. So Padres will try and shake it off. They'll come back and play against the Yankees again today. And then I think they have a day off to travel back to Colorado to play the Rockies. Don't hold me to that because I don't have it right in front of me, but I do know that that's where they're headed next. Let's move on to the NBA real quick. The big news coming out of last night, I guess there was 2 big news stories, but the one that everyone will be leading with is that Steph Curry got hurt. Steph Curry pulled a hamstring strain, I believe it was called. There's varying degrees of strain. If you want to know how long someone's going to be out, like almost immediately after they get injured, I recommend following In Street Clothes. He's on Twitter. He's also on Blue Sky now. His name's Jeff something. I don't remember his last name. He keeps records of every player in every sport and what their injury is and how long it takes for them to return. So he has a lot of information that you can't find anywhere else about how long you should expect a player to be out for. He kind of circled this Steph Curry injury and said, like, best case scenario, he's probably out, 8 to 10 days. So what that means for the Warriors, who won game 1 in Minnesota and, I guess won back home court advantage and are now up 1-0 in that series against Minnesota, is that they're going to need Jimmy Butler to do the Jimmy Butler thing, the same thing he did with the Miami Heat, where, the offense just kind of sits on his shoulders and sits on his back, and who knows how healthy he is after injuring, it looked like his tailbone in the first round series against the Rockets. He didn't look healthy at all at any point in that series. He looked a little bit healthier last night in Minnesota. And I guess him and Draymond and Buddy Hield are essentially going to need to carry this Warriors offense. I did find that whole game, especially the Warriors portion of it, to be incredibly interesting because Steve Kerr, who had been coaching like many coaches coach in the playoffs, with a very limited rotation, where he was playing, 6-7 guys per game. Occasionally, Quentin Post was the 8th guy, and then he kind of lost his spot. Last night, I think he played 12 guys, 11 guys. There was a lot of guys playing for the Warriors. People that I had never, not just had never seen, had never heard of before, getting significant minutes in a playoff game, including Jonathan Kuminga, who, at different points of this season and last season has been one of the best players on the Warriors and seemed to just fall out of favor with Steve Kerr. It seemed like he was just sent to the end of the bench and told, wait for the offseason, we're going to get you off this roster. He was not playing at all. And then he came in last night and played well. So it's one of those like cool narratives that you want to follow where it's like, wait, is he going to earn his way back into the good graces? Is he being given an opportunity that didn't seem like it would ever be there? And is he taking advantage of it? That's really cool. And just seeing a coach in the playoffs be like, hey, if we're going to win, it's literally strength in numbers. We literally need to beat them by playing twice as many guys as them, because Minnesota, I think, only plays 7, maybe 8. So playing like almost twice as many guys as them and saying, we're going to run, we're going to try and tire you out, we're going to try and throw you off, we're going to play groups that you've never seen before, that we've never seen before, and hope that catches you more off guard than it catches us. Just a very interesting way of coaching. And Steve Kerr, who's a guy who loves coaching and loves tinkering and loves doing all that, doesn't really get a lot of opportunity to do that with a roster filled with veteran superstars. So I think he was actually having fun last night. Warriors win by 11. There was certainly large chunks of that game where they were winning by a lot more than that. So shout out Warriors. They're a fun and exciting team. Ant looked terrible, especially in the first half. He looked terrible. His head coach, Chris Finch, called him out in the post-game press conference, that he had to bring the energy for the rest of the team and failed to do so. That's something to keep an eye on. The Pacers. I'm going to spend 10 seconds here, but it's important. People should know that this is important. All season long, there have been 2 clear best teams in the league, one of which is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are currently losing 1-0 or 0-1 to the Denver Nuggets in their series, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. These were the number 1 seed in the East and West all year long, and it wasn't particularly close. And the Cavs just lost 2 games at home to the 4th seed Indiana Pacers. That's incredible. That's incredible. And as someone who watched a lot of Rick Carlisle coach the Dallas Mavericks and watched him coach playoff series with the Dallas Mavericks, I can tell you that man can freaking coach. He might be kind of a weirdo, but that guy can really, really coach. And Tyrese Halliburton is a really good basketball player. And you put those 2 things together, and it really seems like the Pacers have something. Now, can they beat a team as good as the Celtics? I would have told you no. But I also thought that the Cavaliers were better than the Celtics, and the Pacers are up 2-0 on them, heading back home. This is going to be really, really, really hard for Cleveland to try and turn around in a season that was supposed to be the hey, we finally got over the hump. We're gonna make it to the Eastern Conference Finals at least. We're gonna challenge the Celtics. We think we deserve to be in the finals. They lose this round. There's gonna be some freak out in Cleveland from at least their fan base, and really the Pacers are just doing their thing. They play really fast. They run really hard. They never seem to get tired. Tyrese Halliburton is figuring out that what I call Chris Paul balance of helping out other teammates to score and then understanding when they need him to take over the offense and score. That's really cool to see as someone who has liked Tyrese Halliburton for a long, long time. And someone who, honestly, unless I'm rooting for one of these teams, I'm usually rooting for the underdog. It's cool to see the Pacers do this. That's going to be a really fun series to keep an eye on. Tonight, we have the Knicks playing the Celtics. The Knicks stole Game 1, and a lot of people think that the Celtics kind of gave that away with bad shooting. Game 2 will help decide that. And the Nuggets playing one more game in Oklahoma City to see if the best team in the West really is the best team in the West, or if the best player on earth is all that really matters. That's going to be really, really interesting. I appreciated Darren taking my lead and talking a little bit about baseball potentially switching from a minor league system to a youth academy. And I just want to be clear that I am not advocating for this. It was put in front of me as a thing that baseball and baseball owners might want to do, that the transition might be their doing, their pushing in this direction. I like the small town charm of minor league baseball. I grew up in a town that had a minor league baseball team and minor league baseball park, and it was the biggest, most important thing in town. I grew up going to a lot of minor league games. I do not want to get rid of minor league baseball, but I think there's, and Darren kind of makes the point of like, not everything needs to be about the bottom line. Well, for some of these baseball owners, tell that to John Fisher. Tell that to whoever the Pirates owners are, right? Like there are some baseball owners who will tell you, yes, everything is about the bottom line here. And those are the guys who are probably going to be trying to push minor league baseball out and trying to create more baseball youth academies to replace them. Hopefully, me and Darren and other people can fight the good fight and keep minor league baseball going, because I think that's important. I think it's important that people that don't live particularly close to a major league baseball stadium and team have teams that they can go and watch and teams that they can root for and experiences going and watching baseball in person. I think that's important for the health of the sport. So I agree with Darren there. It's also a thing that I'm I guess keeping an eye on, because I'm fearful when it comes to, hey, this option saves you more money. That's usually where the owners are going to go. Last thing before I get out of here, because Darren went about 15 minutes. I'm going about 15 minutes. This seems about right. I noticed today, I looked up, so as some people who have been listening for a while know, I have a TV package that gives me access to every NFL game, every NBA game, every NHL game, every Major League Baseball game, and just about every college football game too. And I love that. But what I found last year when I was trying to watch more and more of the WNBA and then the Unrivaled League that they put on, I guess they didn't put on, that some of the players put on in the offseason, I noticed that women's sports, and this goes for the Wave and the NWSL too, women's sports is very underrepresented in my TV package. And so I'm going to go around the TV package, or I'm going to add to the TV package, because I want to watch WNBA this year. And I looked it up. The league pass for the WNBA, if you want to watch, if you want access to every single WNBA game all season long, you can get it for $35. That is about a third of the price of the Padres TV package. That's way cheaper than any other league I've bought a league pass for, and I'm not going to hesitate to buy that one, add that app to my TVs and my phone so that I can keep tabs on it. But also, Darren was talking the other day about how I'm at this point, I'm kind of like a lapsed Mavericks fan. I'm a confused Mavericks fan. I don't know if I'm going forward as a Mavericks fan or a Clippers fan. Darren kind of said I'm just an NBA fan. I don't know how I feel about that. But I do want to pick a WNBA team and root for them. And before the Mavericks traded Luka Doncic and broke my heart and sent my fandom into a questionable place, everything was working out well for me. I really love Paige Beckers. She was one of my favorite college basketball players to watch ever. Not women, just college basketball player ever. Like she's got the swagger, she's got the game. And she just seems like a superstar if her knees hold up. And I just love watching her play. And it was assumed, was going to get drafted by the Dallas Wings with the first overall pick. And she eventually did. And I remember saying to myself about a year ago, this is working out so well for me. For the next 10 years, I can root for Luka Doncic during the NBA season and Paige Beckers during the WNBA season. And now that I'm not really a Mavericks fan anymore, or at least I don't know if I'm a Mavericks fan anymore, I'm wondering if I should still go and be a Dallas Wings fan, or if I should push in on the LA Sparks, who would be the closest WNBA team to San Diego. They have Cameron Brink when she comes back from her torn ACL. I also love her game. She's the first WNBA player who's kind of reminded me of Kevin Durant, who's one of my favorite NBA players to watch. So I love her. Kelsey Plum, who I found out recently is from San Diego, I believe got traded to the Sparks. So she's on that team as well. I was rooted for her on the Aces. So it could end up being the Sparks. I really like Kate Martin, who now is on the Golden State Valkyries. I think they're the Golden State Valkyries. They're the Warriors' kind of female counterpart. There's a lot of options out there. There's other teams out there. The Liberty are so fun. I just don't have any ties to there, and I don't go to New York often enough for that to make sense to me. New Jersey doesn't have a team. Otherwise, I think I maybe would consider that. So follow along with me this year if you are a person who enjoys the WNBA. And if you want to suggest to me a team that I should root for, I think either this season or at least the first part of this season, I'm going to be kind of scouting a handful of teams and seeing which one feels right and throwing in with them long-term, as long as they don't trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis or move to a completely different state from the one that they represent. So best of luck to me on that. Again, recommendations welcome. You can do it on social media. I am on Blue Sky. I guess I'm on Instagram. The Section 1904 account on Twitter is me. I guess you could just send it to that. Or you can do so in the Section 1904 Discord or on the comments on section1904.com. Thank you so much for listening. If you are subscribed, thank you for subscribing. If you are a paid subscriber, we love you so much. We cannot do this without you. Your support is the lifeblood of all of this. And we will do it again tomorrow. Hopefully Darren's internet is fixed. Even so, or even still, I have a couple friends from my time covering the NBA that I might want to call on and just do a little bit of playoff chat with. So hopefully you guys like that. That might be coming tomorrow or Friday or next week or both. We'll see. But until tomorrow, we're going to get out of here.